Welcome to Career Tipper Podcast, hosted by Michelle Beatty. The Career Tipper Podcast is a motivational resource that shares career and entrepreneurial tips by industry experts that will help amazing people evolve to their professional best. And now your host, Michelle Beatty.
Episode 25 of the Career Tipper Podcast features Jaylene Clark Owens. Jaylene is an AUDELCO and Barrymore award-winning actress, spoken word poet, playwright, producer, and director from Harlem, New York City. She is the executive director of Harlem KW Project LLC. One of her greatest honors is being the first place amateur night at the Apollo Theater winner for her spoken word poetry and a super top dog amateur night finalist. Her creative love for both performance and writing has led her to being featured in numerous theatrical productions and compete in various poetry slams. Jaylene is going to share how she has created multiple profitable platforms that is connected to her craft. I'm your host, Michelle Beatty, professional development author and coach. Jaylene, welcome to the Career Tipper Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I'm very excited to be here with you.
Thank you. I am ready to jump into this interview because it's going to be good. But before we get into
Awesome.
all your platforms, what was your journey to becoming a professional actress?
My journey began in 5th grade when my teacher, Ms. Glushanik, recommended that I try out for this theater company that was having auditions across the street from my school. I had never been in any theater, but I figured it would be a good opportunity. So I tried out, I auditioned, I got in, and when I began we did a play called, I believe the first one was Show Tunes, New York Stories. And I realized that I really loved acting, and this is what I wanted to do. From there, I went to middle school and high school, and there wasn't any acting program at the time at my school, Frederick Douglass Academy. So my mom encouraged me to go to Harlem School of the Arts, which was right around the corner from where I lived, and take acting classes there. So that's what I did. Started there in 2004 and was there for 2 years, and that really helped prepare me for auditioning for schools. Once I went to college, once I was preparing for college, I auditioned for Ithaca College and I got in. And so I got my Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting from Ithaca with a minor in writing. And after I graduated, I moved to Philadelphia to begin my acting career because I felt like, it was a smaller market and that I'd be able to, get some credits on my resume and just, get settled into the professional acting career. And also, the man I was in love with lived in Philadelphia at the time as well. He had just went to Temple. So that was also a big part of why I moved to Philly. However, when I got there that year in 2010, I wasn't really getting work. I was auditioning and things weren't going too well, and I wasn't getting any roles. So I decided to move back home to New York. But while I was in Philly, I had wrote a Facebook status comparing gentrification in Harlem to the belly of the killer whale. And my former acting teacher from Harlem School of the Arts saw that status and asked me if I can write a play about this killer whale gentrification metaphor for a playwriting series he was doing. And although I had never written a play before, I figured it was a good opportunity. So together with 3 women, I wrote a play about gentrification in Harlem, and from there, I started touring with that play, and eventually in 2013, after doing a lot of touring with the show, I auditioned for a classical theater of Harlem and did Midsummer Night's Dream with them. That was my first professional show. And then also in that year, I got married and moved back to Philadelphia and thus began my acting career in Philly. And so since then, I have been acting both in Philadelphia and New York. I'm a company member at the Wilma Theater, and I still also perform my play in various venues in New York and Philly and wherever we get booked.
So how long has your play been active? About 8 years now?
We started in 2011.
Okay.
Yeah. So, about 7 years.
7 years. That's amazing how a Facebook post has launched a whole play that now is being shown in 2 different cities and changing lives, employing people. Like, that's phenomenal.
Thank you. I just always give glory to God because that I did not plan that. But clearly it was supposed to happen, and I'm so thankful that it did.
Indeed. Now, what was the defining moment for you, Jaylene? The moment that you committed to creating your platforms and that empowered you to be a professional actress on an ongoing basis?
I think the defining moment really was when I created when together with the 3 other women created this play, Renaissance in the Belly of a Killer Whale. I mean, before that, I knew I wanted to be an actress, of course. But in establishing Harlem KW Project LLC is the company that we created after writing Renaissance in the Belly of a Killer Whale. And after creating this company, that allowed me to become a director, a producer, a playwright, a leading actress. And that has just informed my entire career since then. As a producer, I came to learn about what it means to be an agent and book performances at various venues. So now that I've done that with Killer Whale, that's something I can now do with myself in terms of booking myself for poetry gigs at colleges. I learned about social media marketing through being a part of Killer Whale and knowing how to promote myself online. I learned about being a playwright, and now I'm on course to write another play. That's something that I would like to do. So I feel like that creating my own company, creating my own play was a really defining moment because it showed me that, I can wear many different hats and I can also create my own opportunities. If they're not there, I can create them. So that was really a defining moment and something that I carry with me now in all the things that I do.
I think that's awesome. Now let's chat about each aspect as far as your acting is concerned in regards to you. Now, how do you continue to perfect your craft as an actress? Because you don't it's a work in progress. So what is your journey like? What is your best practice?
I think for me, I feel like every time I do a play, every time I do a reading, every time I do a play workshop, I'm working on my craft. I'm perfecting my craft. I'm honing my skills. It's something that you need to continue to do. So every time I'm actually doing it, I feel like I'm learning something especially because a lot of times when you're doing different plays and when you're doing, even if you're doing a film or anything, you're working with a different director. And so each experience is going to be different. You're working with a different cast of individuals, so you're learning things from them. So I think doing it actually helps me to hone my craft. Also, as I mentioned, I'm a company member for the Wilma Theater. Our company is called Hot House. And so we meet every Monday, 3 Mondays out of the month for 9 months out of the year. And in those sessions, each session is about 5 hours. And we definitely work on our craft in those sessions. Sometimes we have guest directors come in or choreographers that help us with movement, that we do different exercises to work on our voice. We actually have this training that we do every single time from this art maker in Greece, Theodoros Terzopoulos. He has a whole physical and vocal training that takes about 2 hours. And we do that every time. Sometimes we do the shortened version, but a lot of times we do the full training every time we meet. And so I feel like through my Hot House sessions and through just actually being in different plays, different shows, different workshops, in that way I get to constantly work on my craft, perfect it, and learn new things. Because I'm never, even though I'm saying perfect it, it'll never be perfect. I feel like I'm always learning, and there's always stuff to learn. So I'm just always a student and excited to learn about different things. Yeah, always growing.
Yes, always growing. I love it. Now, from a spoken word poet perspective, what do you do to keep yourself sharp with your words and poems that provoke thoughts in others?
For me, I noticed that I have to be on the scene. Recently, whenever I'm in a play, being in a play takes a lot. You're working 6 out of 7 days a week. And then, as I said, because Mondays are your days off in the theater world, but as I said, a lot of times on Mondays, I'm also at Hot House. So there's oftentimes I'm working 7 days a week, no break. And so it becomes a little bit of a challenge to find the time to write poems and such. And definitely it's a challenge to go to events because I'm usually at a show. So I find that, when in my last show I was trying to write, and I was feeling kind of blocked. I was getting very frustrated because in the few moments I did have to write, I didn't really like what was coming out, and I couldn't finish the poem. And so finally I went to a weekly open mic called Cola Breed Love and the Freedom Party. It's a open mic that they have here in Philly every Tuesday. And after I went to that open mic, the next day I wrote an entire poem. And so that's because I just felt so inspired. Like, I love being around people doing what I do, people who also love poetry, people who also love writing. And it just reminds me that, yes, I love this. And I don't know, it felt like a spark went off in me, just being in that room and feeling that energy. So for me, I keep myself sharp by surrounding myself with people that are also doing poetry, because it just motivates me and inspires me, and also I get to support other artists. So that's always a good thing.
It's all about support, and iron sharpens iron. Through motivation, it's not always a painful experience. Like you're saying, it could be motivational too. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Now, from a playwright aspect, Absolutely. What's your strategy to keep creative juices flowing at their highest?
Mm-hmm. Now, I'll be honest and say that with playwriting, that's something I am learning how to get those creative juices flowing. We wrote Kill a Whale back in 2010, and, I wrote that with 3 other women. I have yet to write a play all on my own, and it's something that I want to do. I know that I get nervous a lot of times because I'm like, what am I going to write about? Okay, so what's the inciting action? Okay, I have this theme, but I don't know what is happening in the play. And James Imes, who is a phenomenal playwright, he's also an actor. I've been in 3 of his world premieres here in Philadelphia. He is just incredible. But he is someone who I admire his writing ethic. He pumps out these plays. He's consistently writing, and he just encourages me to just write as much as I can and stop worrying about if it's a good play. He told me you have to write the bad play before it can become the good play. So that's what I'm trying to work on. When I see something that's inspiring, when I have an idea, I'm working on just sit down and just write. Even if you don't know where it's going to go, just get it down. And that way I can at least keep the juices flowing, as you said, and stop doubting myself. As long as I'm writing, then juices are flowing and something will happen. So I have to keep writing and take the worry out.
Indeed. From listening to you, one thing that I really find a lot of value in, because you mentor and coach people, but you yourself allow yourself to be mentored and coached. And I think that's awesome, which just reiterates your student mode. Like, we all need to stay in student mode in order to be our professional best.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Now, the reviews from your latest play, Renaissance in the Belly of a Killer Whale with Harlem KW Project, were awesome. I love reading them. What has your production taught you about yourself?
It has I mean, it's taught me so many things. It taught me that I can write a play. You know, it taught me that, hey, I'm a playwright. Cool. Okay. It taught me that, you know, I remember in college saying that I wanted to do a play that had spoken word in it the way plays have music in them, making them musicals. I wanted to do something like that with spoken word. And so writing this play taught me that that is not only possible, but powerful. So that's something that I would like to do again in writing plays. I would definitely love to incorporate spoken word into that again. Writing this play taught me that I'm an entrepreneur. I didn't know what an LLC was before I started doing this, a limited liability company. Like, I didn't know what that meant. So writing this play forced me to become an entrepreneur. It taught me how to be a director. It taught me, and I think one of the most important things it taught me is that my voice is important. And, you know, I had these strong feelings about gentrification, and writing this play taught me that my voice matters on this subject, and that it is powerful to put my words onto paper and then onto the stage. And it taught me that, you know, these feelings that I may be feeling, a lot of other people also share those same thoughts, or can identify with them, or can learn from them. So it's important for me to get my voice out there. And now it's like, that is something that I carry with me. I want to share my voice with others, and share and capture the voices of people who may feel voiceless, who feel like their stories are not being represented. I feel like this play taught me it's my job to write those things down. It's my job to perform those, bring those to life, because our stories are important. And by women, people of color. Our voices are important. So I got to get that out there.
Yes. Speak your truth, right?
Yes.
Indeed. Now, in general, from your perspective, why is it important for artists to network and support each other beyond sharing a stage?
I think networking is extremely important. You know, in this business, this entertainment business, but not just the entertainment, in any business, it's a lot about who you know. And, you know, talent is important, but sometimes it really is about who you know, which is why it's vital that you meet with folks, you introduce yourself, you just talk to people, because you never know when you may need this person later on, or when they may need you, and you all can help each other. And that's why it's also good to just be nice to people, because you never know. I mean, you truly never know when you're going to run into somebody again. So I think building positive relationships is really important. And as an actress, one would think that I would just be so good at networking and not afraid to talk to people, since I get in front of them all the time. But actually, in networking situations, I tend to get a bit shy. So that is something that I am working on as well. You know, I have to get over that, because nobody has time for that. Networking is so important. An example that I can think of is, you know, after one of my shows, one of my plays, I know a lot of times the actors come out and talk to the audience members, just like in the lobby or something. And I remember I did that, because you have the option of like going out the back door. But that day I was like, you know, I like to talk to people. So I came out, and a gentleman came up to me and was saying how he liked my performance. And we got to talking, and I somehow started talking about, you know, being a spoken word artist. And he said, oh, well, there's this group out in Allentown that I work with. I feel like they would probably love to have you there to do some spoken word or some writing workshops. And I'm like, yeah. So we exchanged information, and that turned into me doing a residency out in Allentown at this school called Louis Gira High School. And it's a program that I love now. And now from doing that, I met these awesome students. They didn't have a spoken word club before, but now they do. And it has continued. And I've been talking with them about returning again. And it's like, that would have never happened if I didn't come out and just talk to somebody, just talk to people. So, you gotta network, even if, you may feel shy. Just do it. Just hi, hello, and tell people your story. A lot of times people like to hear what you have to say. They're interested in hearing your story. So share it and see where it goes.
Share. No shyness needed.
Exactly.
Now, how has your work leading and developing others helped you develop professionally and artistically? Well, you kind of just shared that a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I mean, being a leader within my company has helped me artistically and professionally because it informs how I act when I'm being led. So, now that I have experienced being a director, I know the things that I look for when I'm directing others. So when I'm being directed, I know, okay, I need to pay attention. Okay, I should be off book it's best to be off book, have my lines memorized. Students I get into as early in the rehearsal process as possible. I just know the things that I like. So now I make sure that I'm doing those things when the role is reversed. So yeah, I think being a leader helps you when you're being led. And that's always a good thing, because that has definitely helped me in artistic and professional capacity. So, yeah.
Now, Jaylene, why should more theater companies aim to take their show on the road?
Oh, my goodness. I love traveling with my art. It is so fun. Oh, my gosh. If you can, I definitely say do it. Whether I'm traveling on the road with Killer Whale, or I'm traveling with, just me doing my spoken word, I just really enjoy seeing how different people, different states, different cities, different races respond to the same show, respond to the same work. It's really interesting to see all the different ways people interpret the work and what they take from it and what they identify with. So that's cool. I also just love being able to see parts of the country that I've never been to, while doing what I love. I think that I every time we've gone on a tour with Killer Whale, we are often, all of us are just overcome with so much gratitude and just thankfulness, because it's like, wow, God, look at this. We're traveling the world. We're traveling, being paid to do a show that we wrote. We're surrounded by, our friends. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. So, I had never been to Iowa before. So being able to go there and do the show was awesome. And we've just had some really great experiences. So being able to see parts of the country that I've never been to is great. And also taking your show on the road, I think, as long as you're able to, negotiate the right contract and everything, it's very lucrative. Like the college, especially within the college market, colleges typically have larger budgets for these things. So it can be pretty lucrative to travel with your show. So yeah, I think just hearing different perspectives, seeing parts of the country, and making money doing the show, I think those are all reasons that I especially love taking the show on the road.
Travel is a game-changing aspect for everyone. It broadens your perspective. It it's humbling. It makes you grateful, and it also excites.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the audience of a major city or wherever you're at, and you get to take in what a new normal is, right? When you travel, it's not your everyday normal. So that's exciting.
Right.
Now, what's next on your success to-do list? Because I'm sure you have some amazingness brewing. So what's next?
Well, I really do want to write another play. So that is something that I am going to be working on. We are bringing my play, Renaissance in the Belly of a Killer Whale, to Theater Horizon, which is in Norristown, Pennsylvania, which is about 30 minutes from Philadelphia. So I'm really excited about that because Philadelphia knows me as an actress, but they don't know me as a director or a playwright. So I'm excited and also a little nervous to bring my baby Killer Whale to the Philly area, but I believe it's going to be great. I can't wait to share the piece with this city. And I'm hoping to do more poetry workshops in schools this coming school year, and also to do more poetry performances at different colleges and universities, because this is like the first season in a while in which I currently don't have any plays coming up. So that means more time to do spoken word things. So, and I'm going to be doing some spoken word things at the Wilma Theater, doing some open mics based on the plays that they're doing. So I'm excited about that. I think this year is going to mean a lot of poetry and a lot of writing. So I'm excited to see what happens this coming school year.
It'll be awesome for you. I'm wishing you the best.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Jaylene, I appreciate you being a guest on the Career Tipper podcast. Please share your favorite quote or affirmation that keeps you creating career tipping moments.
I keep telling myself I need to write things down when I hear them. So I'm going to start being better about that. But this is a quote that one that I can remember is just, if you're not given the opportunity, create one yourself.
High five.
Woo, woo.
Love it. I love it. Now, please share how listeners can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. You can visit my website, JayleneClarkOwens.com. I'm on Facebook under Jaylene Clark Owens. I'm on Twitter under Jaylene_C_Owens. I'm on Instagram at Jaylene Clark Owens. And on YouTube, you can also search Jaylene Clark Owens and find me there as well.
Fantastic. And you can find me, Michelle Beatty, at CareerTipper.com and on Instagram at CareerTipper, Facebook Career Tipper, and Twitter Career Tipper 1. Please listen and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Career Tipper podcast. We're grateful for our listeners and guests. For more resources about how to evolve to your professional best, share your comments and feedback about this episode and your suggestions for future guests, visit CareerTipper.com. Until next time, be confidently you.